You know, the greatest strategic failure in sales is believing that a large purchase requires a large pitch, this massive, high-pressure effort aimed at closing a skeptical buyer. But what if that's all wrong? What if the entire sales battle is actually won at the lowest friction point, with just a single small yes that psychologically locks the buyer in, compelling them toward that final big purchase? Well, today we're going deep into the psychology of lead scoring. We're going to lay out the blueprint for a system that doesn't just find leads, but actually predicts their urgency to buy, which in turn accelerates your sales cycle and really solves the crisis of inefficiency that plagues so many sales teams.
So, here's our roadmap. First, we're going to dissect that great strategic failure I just mentioned. Then, we'll build out the solution, something called the Intent Triage System. After that, we'll explore the core psychology that makes this whole thing so incredibly effective. Then, we'll lay out a practical framework so you can master it. And finally, we'll boil this entire strategy down to one key insight: how to scientifically separate the real buyers from the casual browsers.
All right, let's dive right into section 1, where we challenge the very core of modern selling. For decades, sales organizations have been running on a deeply flawed assumption about what it takes to close a big deal. And honestly, it's led to a ton of waste and burnout. We're here to rethink that whole approach from the ground up.
This idea right here, this is at the absolute heart of our entire conversation today. The common wisdom says that to get a big commitment, you need a big, persuasive effort. You've got to push, you've got to convince, you've got to bulldoze every objection. But this approach, it just fundamentally misunderstands human nature. It treats the buyer like an adversary you have to conquer, not a partner you're trying to guide. This high-pressure model just creates resistance, and it completely ignores the subtle psychological currents that actually drive our decisions.
So here's the pivot. Imagine that instead of one massive high-friction decision, the real goal was to get a series of small, low-friction commitments. What if the final purchase wasn't some monumental new decision at all, but just a logical, inevitable conclusion of a journey the buyer had already decided to start? This completely flips the dynamic. You go from aggressive persuasion to strategic facilitation. You stop pushing a rock uphill, and instead, you just clear the path for it to roll.
And this all works because of a really powerful psychological principle: commitment bias. We are all just wired with this deep-seated need to be consistent with who we think we are. So when we say yes to something small, like downloading a specific case study or attending a targeted webinar, we subconsciously tweak our own identity. We've told ourselves that we're the kind of person who's seriously looking into this solution. The final big purchase then just becomes an act of staying true to that identity, which makes it feel natural, rational, and almost like it was pre-decided.
Okay, so how do we take that psychological insight and build it into a practical, scalable system? If the psychology is all about nurturing these small commitments, then the strategy has to be about figuring out who is making them and what those commitments really mean. And that brings us to the Intent Triage System. I want you to think of this as a really sophisticated filter for your most valuable and most finite resource: your sales team's time and attention. Look, in any given pipeline, only a tiny fraction of leads, maybe 5%, are actually ready to buy right now. The rest are just researching, learning, or passively browsing. The triage system is designed to scientifically pinpoint that small, high-intent group and get them to a human being fast, while everyone else gets handled with efficient, low-cost automation. It's about creating a structure that absolutely guarantees focus.
This slide shows you the core division the system makes. It separates leads into two very distinct camps. On one side, you've got your fast buyers. Their high score comes from their actions, high-value behaviors like visiting your pricing page or requesting a demo. These actions signal they're in buying mode. That's pure transactional intent. On the other side, you've got slow buyers. Now, they might look perfect on paper, right job title, perfect company size, all the right demographics. But their behavior is passive. They're just consuming content. This is informational intent. The system makes a critical, non-emotional judgment. It values what people do way more than who they are.
And here's the blueprint, laid out in 4 clear steps. First, we track specific high-value behaviors that tell us someone is motivated. Second, a lead's total score has to hit a predefined, non-negotiable threshold to be considered a marketing qualified lead, or MQL. Think of it as the gate. Third, anyone who crosses that threshold gets immediately and automatically sent to the sales team for a prompt personal follow-up. And fourth, and this part is absolutely key, everyone else is placed into a low-cost, automated nurturing track. They'll keep getting value until their behavior tells us they're ready for a real conversation.
Now, to make this real, think about this. An action like viewing your pricing page is an incredibly powerful signal of transactional intent. I mean, think about it. Nobody looks at a pricing page for fun, right? They do it when they are seriously evaluating a purchase. And because of that, this action gets a heavyweight, like plus 15 points. That can instantly boost a lead score and flag them as a high-priority opportunity that deserves a salesperson's immediate attention. And this is where you see the strategic impact. It's huge. By automating engagement with the 95% of leads who are just browsing or researching, the system structurally eliminates the single biggest drain on sales productivity. This lets your best people focus 100% of their energy, their creativity, and their skill on the 5% of leads who have proven, through their actions, that they are ready for a real conversation. The downstream effects are enormous: higher team morale, better forecast accuracy, and far more predictable revenue.
So now that we've got the what of the system down, let's explore the why. Why is this triage system so powerful? It's not just about data or automation. It's about perfectly aligning your sales process with the fundamental drivers of human behavior. The effectiveness of this whole thing really boils down to one core principle: intent alignment. A sales conversation is only truly effective when the salesperson's goals are perfectly aligned with the prospect's mindset. By only engaging leads who have shown clear transactional intent, you make sure that every single conversation starts from a place of mutual interest and perfect timing. The prospect is actively thinking about buying, and your salesperson is there to help them do it. All that friction just disappears.
And what's more, this system solves the universal business problem of scarcity. A salesperson's time is their most valuable and most finite asset. Every single minute they spend chasing a low-intent lead is a minute they can't spend closing a high-intent one. It's a massive opportunity cost. The lead score gives you a clear, data-driven, quantifiable reason to focus that precious energy only where it will generate the highest return. It protects your team from burnout and lets them maximize their true potential.
Okay, let's get practical. Understanding the theory is one thing, but applying it is what actually gets results. This next section lays out a concrete 3-step framework for you to implement this system and achieve mastery in your own organization.
So, step 1, it starts with defining and weighting your core behaviors. And this isn't guesswork. It means doing a deep dive into your own data to see which specific actions most reliably and repeatedly come before a sale. Step 2 is establishing that firm MQL threshold, the objective score a lead must hit to earn a salesperson's time. This becomes a clear agreement between marketing and sales. And finally, step 3 is measuring your success by tracking the ultimate metric of efficiency, sales cycle velocity.
Okay, so this is where the rubber meets the road. Let's look at how this weighting process actually works. Notice the clear hierarchy here. A direct request for a demo, that gets the highest score, plus 20, because it's a totally unambiguous request to be sold to. A price page view is right behind it at plus 15, a powerful implicit signal. Things like downloading content are strong signals of interest, worth plus 10, but they're less urgent. And now look at the bottom. The demographic fit, job title match, gets only plus 5. It's a factor, sure, but it is rightly dwarfed by active, demonstrated behavior.
And this right here, this is the ultimate test. The proof that the system is truly working isn't just about closing more deals, it's about speed. When you focus exclusively on high-intent leads, your average time to conversion should drop dramatically. Mastery means your sales cycle for these qualified leads is significantly faster and more predictable than your old baseline. And that translates directly to faster revenue, better cash flow, and a much more scalable growth engine for the whole business.
All right, let's bring all these ideas together into one final, essential insight. This is the core philosophy that drives the entire system, the single idea that I want you to take away from all this.
It all comes down to this: surgical prioritization. Sustainable growth isn't about doing more, it's about applying intense focus with scientific precision. The greatest strategic waste in any business is having your most skilled, most expensive people working on low-probability, low-intent problems. This system is designed from the ground up to structurally eliminate that waste, guaranteeing that precious human effort is always applied at the point of maximum leverage. And let's end on this thought. We need to completely reframe how we see the sales and marketing funnel. It's not a machine for pushing people through stages they aren't ready for. Instead, it's a sophisticated mechanism for pulling the right people forward at precisely the right time, by offering them value and scientifically identifying the exact moment their intent shifts from casual browsing to active buying. That is the secret to scalable, efficient growth. The only question left is, how long can your team afford to operate without it?